Skateboarding, a form of recreation and sport popular among youths, in which a person rides standing balanced on a small board mounted on wheels. Considered one of the so-called extreme sports, skateboarding as a professional sport boasts a range of competitions, including vertical and street-style events. Skateboarding has developed as a youth subculture that emphasizes creativity and individuality. It is an alternative to mainstream team sports, which are more formally organized and largely controlled by adults. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we will dig into the history of skateboarding. Take an intimate look at some of the notable events that took place in the history of skateboarding. Hermetically sealed from the rest of the world, skateboarding's history is naturally esoteric, with several topics up for debate. The origin of the skateboard is as ambiguous as the origin of our universe. There are multiple reports from self-proclaimed skate historians of who, what, and where the first skateboards appeared. It is largely agreed upon that skateboards originated in the United States, first as crates of wood with roller derby skates attached to the underfoot. The earliest models had handlebars attached, like modern scooters, but eventually the boxes were replaced by wooden planks, and the handlebars scrapped for an experience more akin to surfing. From the 1950s to present-day 2020, skateboarding has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry, impacting millions of lives across the world as an art form and a sport. In its history, skateboarding has inaugurated its own museums, awarded its own Hall of Fame, and curated a self-documented history, cementing a special place in the heart of freedom culture. The launch ramp of 1950s California lit the torch of skateboarding to be handed off to each new generation over the coming eras. In these decades, skateboarding transcended through ups and downs of economic prosperity and mainstream popularity as different faces and figures shined in the spotlight or dominated the back alleys of urban performance. It's difficult to imagine ourselves in the 1950s or 1970s Dogtown eras, the birthplace of skateboarding. It would be even more difficult to imagine how much skateboarding would change since its conception. The first commercial skateboards appeared in 1959, but crude, homemade versions of skateboards, often consisting of nothing more than old roller skate wheels attached to a board, were first built after the turn of the 20th century. In the early 1960s, skateboard manufacturers such as Yamaha and Hobie attempted to capitalize on the rising popularity of surfing by promoting skateboarding, then known as sidewalk surfing, as an alternative diversion when no rideable waves were available. In 1963, Yamaha formed the first professional skateboard team, and that same year the first skateboard competition was held in Hermosa, California. It included events in freestyle and downhill slalom skateboarding. The initial popularity of skateboarding waned over the next couple of years because of the limitations of the skateboard's maneuverability, and because of warnings from safety professionals that the activity was dangerous. Skateboarding in the media began advertising skating as a dangerous activity, while the clay wheels and handstands grew as tiresome as watching a hula hooper for hours on end. To understand how skateboarding nearly perished is to understand ultimately why its earliest forms are no longer seen. But more importantly, comparing where skateboarding is today from these times, we see one of the greatest transformations of a sport and performance art in the 20th to 21st century. Reinventing the skateboard wheel. Not figuratively, but literally. Skateboards were revived in the mid-1970s after the development of the faster and more maneuverable polyurethane wheel, and the introduction of the kicktail, the raised back end of the board that makes kick turns possible. The craze spread worldwide, and skateboard magazines helped promote both the sport and young innovative riders such as Tony Alva and Stacy Peralta. The first skate park was built in Florida in 1976, and many others began to appear throughout North and South America, Europe, and Asia, all providing a variety of slopes and banked surfaces for sudden turns and stunts. It was at this time that riders started skating in empty pools and exploring the vertical potential of the sport. The empty pool soon gave way to half-pipes, U-shaped riding surfaces used to perform aerial stunts. Though protective gear such as helmets and knee pads were commonplace, safety concerns and escalating insurance premiums for skate parks played a major role in the sport's second fall from widespread popularity. In the 1980s, skateboarding enjoyed an underground following. Skateboarders built their own ramps and half-pipes and began skating the urban environments, creating what became known as street style. Increased board size and improved truck constructions helped the new style thrive. It was during this time that a distinctive youth subculture began to develop around the sport. Punk rock and baggy clothes became closely associated with young skaters. The daring and individualistic nature of street and vert skateboarding was spread through straight-to-video documentary films that found a large youth audience. The video's main stars are vert skaters Tony Hawk and Steve Caballero, and street skaters Natas Koupas and Mark Gonzalez, among many others. But it was the advent of large competitions, such as the X Games, an alternative sports festival sponsored by the cable television network ESPN, and first held in 1995, that gave the sport mainstream exposure and a certain commercial legitimacy. Skateboarding has established itself as a professional sport while still maintaining its independence from traditional team sports. Snowboarding and inline roller skating have been heavily influenced by skateboarding techniques and culture. World Cup Skateboarding, founded in 1994, oversees the biggest street and vert skateboarding competitions, including events in Australia, Brazil, Canada, and the United States, and throughout Europe and Asia. As skateboarding evolved in a post-Tony Hawk era, skateboarding's interaction with society changed. Skateboarding deepened its roots in street skateboarding as the definition of being a professional skateboarder shifted from competition skating to video parts, while mainstream skate culture saw itself in novel forms of entertainment. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater video games franchise ensured Tony Hawk and the Ollie were a household name. Bam Margera would go on to parody a pro skateboarder career with a reality television show, Viva La Bam. As companies entered the fold, skateboarding gained more recognition and skating's elite began making palpable salaries. Today, Street League and the X Games draw the largest crowds in years. With more eyes comes more scrutiny, as today a juvenile distaste in adolescence is still associated with skateboarding in dominant forms of media. That being said, the offshoots of skateboarding have also grown tremendously to tip the scales back into the hands of skateboarders. In the past 5 to 10 years, female skateboarders are the sport's largest growing demographic, with skateboarding now the largest female sport in Afghanistan. Skate parks are now found on every major continent of the world, with countless clips filmed and posted to social media every day. Skateboarding endures as one of the world's most inclusive and accessible expressions of freedom. Skateboarding remains in a constant state of evolution, with each skateboarder not only defining their own relationship with their skateboard, but what skateboarding means to them. With each contribution to skating, it continues to be molded by those who need it most. Sometimes this means combining outside forces, sometimes this means inviting them in. Either way, the history of skateboarding is still being written, and ultimately, thanks to the skateboarders who came before us, skating will forever be defined by those who truly love skateboarding and no one else. Hope this video added some value to your thoughts. Do share your views in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so and hit the notification bell. See you in the next video.